All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Locked On Avalanche. Colorado goes in, steals a 2-0 win. I don't even want to say steals. They were just as every bit into this game as Vegas was. You were a game that it went the way you expected it to go in terms of how both teams were playing. But how sweet is it that everything was Jack Eichel this and Jack Eichel that, and Darcy Kuemper said, "Nah." How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. Joining me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, and the Colorado Avalanche with a 2-0 victory in Vegas. This one just felt good, Kyle.
Yeah.
I mean, so for so many reasons, and we'll get into all of it, break it all down. But quickly, first things first, thank you for making this your first listen of the day, and follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com, and follow the show on our Twitter page, our YouTube page. There it is, over on the YouTube. Subscribe and get notified when a new show goes live. So this was supposed to be Jack Eichel's coming out party. His, everybody was looking forward to it. It was Eichel overload on TNT. I kind of get it, but at some point, put the focus back on the game, for crying out loud. And they did eventually, but that whole first period was just Eichel just like nonstop, and I was just like, can I watch a game, please? So that's why this is just so nice, because that's all anybody wanted to talk about. And again, I understand it. Like, he's a superstar. If this was the she was on the other foot, and this is the Nathan McKinnon, like his first game of the season for the Avs, it'd be a big deal too. I understand that, and that's why, because it's simply because it's Vegas, to shut them out on their home ice. We have some very good sound checks for this game coming up a little bit later, but give me your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be Eichel mania, especially like yesterday when like the NHL main account was announcing he's officially off LTIR. Like, when was the last time we were having this kind of fanfare for somebody getting off LTIR, for goodness sake?
Right.
And then the one thing Keith Jones had to say about the game was, it's fast. Expert level analysis of the game so far there, Jonesy. But yeah, it was Eichel. And then the more the game went on, you noticed Eichel's not contributing and Darcy's standing on his head. And then Darcy just took the narrative away. And when you get scoring from the people you should be talking about, and Mikko and Gabe, the Avalanche went in there, not only stole a win, stole it in Vegas, and stole the narrative away from Jack Eichel.
And I'm not expecting him to jump right in talking about Jack Eichel and be his former self right off the bat. Not saying that. I think a lot of people in the media were just maybe I didn't hear that at all of them saying like he might need some time to get eased back in. They started saying it during the game. Why? Because he didn't look good.
No.
He did, like, he was skating. He was just floating around. There was no jump to his game. I didn't see him do a solid hockey stop the entire game.
No.
So he's clearly not anywhere near 100%. He's enough to go play a game. But, and I was asked this question by Adam on Locked On NHL. Like, we recorded that show before the game started. And he's like, does Eichel strike fear in you? Are you nervous? I'm like, not for this game. Down the road, sure, if he can continue to recover and to continue to get stronger and healthier, but not for this game. But that was way below what I was expecting from him. If they're going to trot him out there after the surgery that he had, I'm under the impression that he was going to give a little bit more than what he showed. I mean, it was nothing to write home about, which is to be expected. But at the same time, again, if you're going to put him out there and to get solid minutes, which he got, I thought he was going to perform a little bit better than that.
Maybe I'm just weird in this thought process, but when it comes to Eichel, I put him in that category of like Taylor Hall and Riot Nugent Hopkins. Like, do something. Like, I get the fanfare and I get your skill level, and we ran, like, I bring up Nugent Hopkins because early in his career, you got that same fanfare like Eichel's getting, and like Taylor Hall did before his his kind of coming out party again in Boston. And it's honestly, you have to do something. Like, it's one thing to be talented, but then you have to start winning somewhere, because then that gets forgotten about. And then I can understand why everybody's, parading through the streets when he goes to Vegas, because finally a place where he can win. Mm-hmm. But we talked about this in our crossover with Vegas and Tony. Like, as soon as Eichel gets there, the goalie position goes down. So you address one area, but then you lose it in another area. So he might get there and you expect him to perform, but he can't bail you out, especially in his condition currently. He's not going to get in there and win you a game right off the hop, and especially not against Colorado with the way they're playing right now.
No. Yeah. I mean, that's a tough ask for him to go up against a team like Colorado for his first game. But, you just kind of go through his deeper stats. And he got 17 and a half minutes of ice time. Expected goals, 0.017. That's terrible. 4 penalty minutes. He won 8 faceoffs. He lost 11. 23 shifts on a night. That's a solid number of shifts. Let me see his Corsi percentage and his Fenwick percentage. And I was checking this during the game. They actually went up a little bit. At one point, his Fenwick percentage was like 21%, which is horrible. They didn't end that great. I mean, it was 54% for his Corsi percentage and 47% for his Fenwick, which that's not that good. But it did improve over the game. Compare that to, for the best player for the Avalanche yesterday was, in terms of percentages, Nazem Kadri, a 73% and a 72% for Corsi and Fenwick respectively. Like that's how you do it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see these two teams go up against each other next week, Saturday,
the 26th. Yes.
Yeah. So that's next Saturday. And I think in that short amount of time, you'll see a different Jack Eichel. I do. I think he just needs to get some games under his belt. And do those numbers surprise me? No. But he hasn't played in so long. He needs to get his feet under him and get acclimated to the game again. Like he's playing October hockey in February.
Yeah.
So so going forward, I'm going to have some concern, because once he gets back to his normal self, we're going to have to take note of that. But for today, it was all Avalanche. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. You want to feel good about this game, but when it comes to next week, this is the last regular season matchup we get with Vegas. We're going to have a different Eichel. He's going to be a little bit more familiar with his line mates, and there's going to be a little bit more lines. What they do in goalie, hey, that wasn't a bad showing tonight. No. What they do next, like how they wrap up this series, because Vegas has won on us. We won last night. It's going to be for the season series next Saturday. So we'll have to, this was a nice win, but you also want to circle the 26th, because that one's going to tell you a lot.
Yeah. And then if these two teams meet in the playoffs, and, that comes into play, the bragging rights of who won during the regular season anyway. So, all right. We're an Avalanche podcast. We talk too much about Jack Eichel and Vegas, but so let's hear from Bet Online and then get into the Avalanche side of things. Football might be over for this season, but basketball is in full steam ahead mode for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the number one spot for all of your betting sports needs. It remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news for this season. And it isn't just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for the NHL, boxing, and UFC, and right down to the Olympic Games for coverage and information. Head over to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action going on around your favorite sports. It's betonline.net. It's where the game starts. For the Avalanche, I thought of, again, another good game. Like this was the game against Dallas. They played well, just couldn't break through. He had 47 shots on net, got one through. Last night, you had 25 shots on net, and you got two big ones through. Landeskog with one, assisted by Makar and Taves, and Mikko Rantanen with the other one, assisted by McKinnon and Makar. So Makar with the 2 assists on both of the goals. That Mikko one, you were able to exhale, because that was late in the game. It was a power play, which wasn't that power play? Yes, it was power play.
Mm-hmm.
So that one you just felt good because they were playing good defensively. This was a back and forth game. It was an exciting game. It was an entertaining game, and it went kind of the way I didn't expect a high. I really didn't expect a high scoring game. Number one, because it's just not. I don't know. I just didn't feel like. Well, it's how these two teams play each other.
Yeah,
Play each other rough, and Darcy Kuemper has been spectacular, and to shut out Vegas on their home ice. This man is now our ace. He's been awesome.
Yeah, Darcy Kuemper looked incredible tonight. Did not let that home environment. Well, I mean, Vegas is known for having a rowdy environment. It's a party there.
Right.
Everybody's having a good time. Didn't affect him in any way. Put up a shutout, even though TNT was jinxing us left and right, talking about his last shutout was his last start, and he's pitching a shutout tonight, doing the unspokens in the middle of the broadcast.
Right.
Like he beat all of that too. So Darcy looked incredible. The physicality, not getting to both teams was also interesting. So because it could have easily spilled over. You could have had like Nas was barking, and for him not to escalate to the next level, that was nice. Everybody kind of got to business and we're fighting for that win all the way to the end. So it was a really good game from everyone.
Yeah, and there was some physical nature going on, but nothing really went over the top. Carrier kind of was a little bit of an idiot towards the end of the game with Taves, but you thought maybe it was going down that road with the McKinnon hit on Nolan Patrick.
Yeah,
which I don't think he returned from that, did he?
I don't know. I don't think he did.
Let me look at his time on ice real quick, but I don't think he did.
And it escalated with that Pietrangelo diving at Landeskog's feet when he was getting ready to almost have like a 2-on-1. Like that was a very dirty way. He knew exactly that he was coming away with a penalty, and he was going for it all there. Like that also could have got nasty because Gabe was also barking, and we've seen him go off the handle a couple times already this year. For it to escalate there was also significant.
Nolan Patrick, 14 seconds of ice time. So no, he did not return. That was it. And it was, it was a penalty. They called a penalty on it. It was interference, clearly. So because he left, and there was a little bit of a scrum afterwards, but that was early in the game, and you thought maybe that was going to set the tone. I thought for the most part, they're as much as rivals as these two teams are becoming. I thought they were kind of on their best behavior after that.
Yeah.
Nothing too outrageous, but the first period, and I put this up on Twitter. I mean, this game was like greyhounds back and forth. They were, and I think like the last 5 or 4 minutes of the first, they were just gassed.
Yeah.
And you could tell like they were slowing down a little bit, just a normal pace to the game where the first 15 minutes was just pinned in the red.
Yeah.
And then, you did see a noticeable change. I did anyway in the second and third periods they kind of settled down a little bit. And I think, emotions were high, endorphins were flying. And it just, by the end of the first, they were like, we got nothing left. It was a good first period, I thought.
And something that really stood out to me as well is later on in that third period when things were really tight, there was a lot of coaching from Jared Bednar.
Yes, you're right. You're right about that.
Utilizing like TV timeouts and all these stoppages, not just barking like pucks in deep cycle, like whiteboard, and not just him coaching, but the receptiveness of all the players. Like you could see them literally kind of stacked on each other, everyone paying attention. That speaks a lot to where this team is right now and why we only have single digits in the loss category still.
Mm.
So that really stood out to me, and it paid off in the end with 2 goals in that third period.
It's not like they show the sideline all the time during a hockey game. Like that's not what you're looking for. But most of the time, whenever most obviously Avalanche games are in altitude, whenever they show the sideline and Bednar, he's kind of just just hovering above everybody. He's just very
Mm-hmm.
stoic, and he just lets his players play. He lets Landeskog captain this team. But it just seemed like every time they showed the bench, he was
Mm-hmm.
engaged with somebody. They came back from commercial break once, and they even said this was during the entire timeout. Every single player was huddled over him, and as he was going over a whiteboard. There was another time where, Landeskog was turning around, talked to him, and he's engaged with him. He was more animated, not over the top because he never does that. He was more animated with some referees
Mm-hmm.
and talking to them. I agree with you, man. I think he was treating this because of the opponent more like a playoff game. I
Yeah.
just he wants to win them all. Like when you're top of the standings, you want to win all the games. But I agree with you, man. I think I just got the impression that he was really coaching a little bit extra because he wanted this one.
And usually those talks we always talked about, especially last year and the bubble year, like those talks really came at the intermission, and you were kind of hoping that we get to the intermission because Bednar is going to have a talk in the locker room. They're going to come back out with a different look. And I honestly feel how that game was going, that Bednar did not want to go to the locker room because he did not want to see that team in overtime. And
Mm.
that was one of his, hey guys, we have to do this now. We don't want this extended. And you could see him coaching more in game, which speaks volumes for where we're going deeper in the season. Because if we're making these adjustments mid game and they're translating to goals,
Mm.
that's a really good sign.
Yeah, I agree. You had the Gabe Landeskog thought he had a goal, and
Mm-hmm.
they even some whoever's on the ice with him at that time, they were kind of celebrating for a hot second, and that puck just went from one post to the other, and then back again almost. How that thing stayed out is just I
It's
don't
an
know,
air hockey
physics.
goal.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And then he got one, which was just
Yep.
so poetic that he did get one, and it was not the. I mean, that's kind of how we were saying in the Dallas game, how they were
Mm-hmm.
going to have to win that game, which obviously they didn't. Kind of like grimy. That goal was not a thing of beauty. The placement was,
Yeah.
but it was a pass from Makar that was kind of on its edge, and I think he was just trying to take a whack at it to maybe have somebody collect a rebound because it wasn't. I mean, the angle was fine, but it's not like he didn't. He knew that the goalie was going to be in position, and it found a way to get by, and that's what you needed to crack the scoreboard, and then you just continue to play your game, and it was just an Avalanche win basically.
Yeah. And there's something about scoring a goal, going up 1-0, and then there's something about Gabe scoring the goal and going up 1-0 that gives you like this extra amount of peace. Like, okay, Gabe put one up there. We're okay. We're going to be okay. And
Yeah.
you really got that feeling off that goal. And then Miko followed it up soon after.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, oh man, I was so hoping that I think it was Makar with the empty
Mhm.
netter
Yeah.
was slowly creeping toward. I think it was Petrangelo who just got it just in time. It would have just 3-0 would have made me feel a lot better
Yeah.
than 2-0. But you got Kemper who was just phenomenal. You can't say enough good things about him. So Yeah, you got another thing on him? Go ahead.
When it comes to that Miko goal, I'm noticing he's really loving the Ovechkin office for setting up goals. If you watch him, if he gets
Mhm.
comfortable, he likes setting up in that circle.
Or-
So keep an eye on that. If
yeah.
Miko's floating in Ovechkin's office, good things are coming.
All right. Let's do some sound check. All right. And then we'll kind of maybe dive into some stats and then what the Avs have coming this weekend. So again, if you're new to the podcast, after every game, win or loss, Kyle and I dive through the collection of music and throw out a song that best summarizes the action on the ice. So who do you got for last night's game against Vegas?
Last night's game in Vegas was in Vegas. And when you think of Vegas, you think of none other than the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley.
Sure.
And the song I chose is a little less talk. I threw this out for many different reasons. The Eichel talk.
Right. That's what I was thinking when you said, okay.
The Eichel talk is definitely number one. And it was also the theme song for a show back in the 2000s called Las Vegas. So it works hand in hand. Yeah, it works hand in hand there. But definitely, like, it was all talk. It was Vegas, Vegas, Vegas. And a little bit more action it's what we walked out with.
See, now the only version of that song that I know is I think it's on the Ocean's 11 soundtrack. It's like a current version, like a current. They had some like more updated like background beats to it.
I think it's the JXR version.
Yeah, but this is not that one. This is we're going original here, right?
OG King of Rock and Roll.
All right, yeah, that's a fantastic one. I love it. For me, kind of going down that same realm a little bit. Who doesn't love Bjork? I think we all love Bjork. And she has a song called "It's Oh So Quiet."
Oh,
and I just, I had to break that one out. It's perfect timing. A shutout. If it wasn't a shutout, I don't think I would use it. But a shutout on Vegas's home ice. And it was oh so quiet in that arena. Even when they had the goalie pulled, Vegas got a couple chances, but that is usually a raucous crowd.
Yeah.
And the Avalanche really kind of quieted them. And to send them home with nothing to cheer for has a smile on my face. So that's my go-to right there.
And the Blue Man Group, they don't have a lot of songs with lyrics, so it's hard to sound check with the Blue Man Group.
Very true. So, those are two great ones. I love those two. So, and you can follow. I'll add them to the playlist on Spotify if you want to find that. Just LOPN Soundcheck, and you can follow along. Save it, follow it, and jam out in your car to some Elvis and some Bjork for today, at least.
It's a good playlist.
Yeah, it's building. It's building by the game. So, just go through some stats quick. Avs, let's see, 1 for 3 on the power play. Good. 0 for 2 for Vegas on the power play. So that's good for the Avs. Penalty kill continues to improve. Really since that run that they went on in January, it's continuing to get better and better and better. And it, at this stage in the game in the season, even though it's going as well as it is, they were so far down. I think they were like 28th at one point. Now they're like 22nd or 21st. You're not going to just ascend to the top 10 at this stage in the game. So you have to look at what they've done recently. And recently it's been great. It's been really, really good.
And that penalty kill looks good. Even though we are 1 for 3 on the power play tonight, it still boggles my mind every time like Altitude will throw out that stat and we're like sitting at 10th or 11th with a power play. It doesn't feel like it, and I feel like that still needs to be addressed.
Well, the kind of what I was just saying about the penalty kill, the opposite's true for the power play. You're okay on it, but because you were doing much better early on, that's why you're still in the top 10. You're not going to free fall, even when you're not doing as good as you were in the beginning of the season. So let's see who's kind of standing out here stats wise. I mean, you're not going to get a ton. Maybe let's see who's leading shots on goal. Obviously, Nathan McKinnon's got 4. Mikko Rantanen had 4. Kadri had 2, but Kadri did not score again. So
Yeah.
2 games, I think it's 2 games in a row. Yeah, because he scored the one before the Dallas game. So the first Dallas game he scored. Not like a concern or anything. I thought he played better. His game against Dallas, we talked about it, was not his best game. But he's been on all year. So he's going to have a couple game streak where he doesn't score. He'll get back on track. I'm not worried about that.
And something else that's probably going to get overshadowed from Darcy Kuemper's performance last night, there were some very, very bad giveaways from Burakovsky, Jost, and I think Sam Girard as well. And that also showed up in the Dallas game. So this is a little bit of a trend. The bad giveaways and the turnovers, we have to address that.
Yeah.
And what better opponent than Saturday against Buffalo?
There you go. Yeah. Burakovsky had a really bad one on a power play. Could have been a shorthanded goal for Vegas. Obviously was not. But yeah, I think I don't know. Don't remember any specific ones that Girard had. I mean, he may have. I thought Sam Girard played a great game. Yeah. He, no goals or no assists or anything, but let's see. He next to Makar, who has over 26 minutes of ice time. Sam Girard was second, even more than Devon Taves. I thought he was just on pucks. I thought his passes were good. He was not afraid to go mix it up. He knew he needed to be just a solid defensive player last night. To me, and he's not the type of guy that's flashy. He doesn't stand out a lot for like this year anyway. He has in the past.
Yeah.
But I think he's settling into like a new role of I'm gonna let Taves and Makar, be the faces and the names of our defensive units. And I'm just gonna play my game. And he's been doing that all year. But last night he really did stand out to me. I thought he played a great defensive game, if you ask me.
Yeah, Sam Girard has been starting to settle into that role, and he's a little bit more noticeable from where in the beginning of the year he really wasn't. So It's nice to see him take that turn as well.
Yeah. And again, I'm just kind of going through his more the deeper stats, but wow, 32 shifts he played. That's a lot.
Yeah. And see, and that's another the 32 shifts. That's something else I would like to see the Avalanche work on. We've fallen prey to the too many men on the ice, and something that I saw in last night's game against Vegas. We have to do better on shift changes. Yeah. We are not getting good, clean shifts, and there were a couple times in that second period that the lines were so mismatched with who got on, who's still on. That could be a big problem if those don't get cleaned up. Like, yes, it's Vegas. You don't want to see Darren Helm out there with Nathan McKinnon, but that's something that also needs to be addressed, and maybe we can get cleaned up. But keep an eye on that. Like, there's some weird changes that only 2 will get on and 2 will get off, and it's really rough.
Too many men is like the first couple seasons. It should be like the first couple weeks of like false starts in the NFL.
Yeah,
you just have to get your timing down. It shouldn't be happening right now as much as it is for the Avalanche. So I think it's an easy problem to really address. You just kind of like you just need to bring guys. We need to be better at this. This is like stuff you've been doing since you've been 11 years old. And it's just you got to pay attention more. You have to be more cognizant of what is going on in front of you. And I think they're just getting a little bit lax with it, and they can't. So it's an easy fix, but yeah, I don't know why it keeps happening to them.
And you don't have to push the puck every time you get possession. It doesn't hurt to settle in behind that goalie and allow a change.
Yeah,
I see we get that possession and we automatically do a pass to somebody who's just ghosting on that blue line and cherry picking for that offensive transition. You can hold that puck and cycle it back and wait behind the goalie just a beat or two. let everybody change, and you get yours when you get back on. I'd like to see us implement that just a little bit.
It is not the Avalanche way, Kyle. It is go, go, go. It is, full throttle all the time, man. That is Avalanche hockey. But
we'll do that.
Right.
We'll do that until it breaks.
Exactly. So, So next game not till Saturday. Is
that's correct?
What our schedule says against Buffalo? That's in Buffalo, right?
I believe it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where they go on their East Coast short trip. I think they're doing Boston again, and I don't remember who it is, but yeah, Buffalo is in Buffalo. So
1 o'clock Eastern start.
That's nice. So Mountain Time, you're going to be eating your ramen noodles and watching some Avalanche hockey early in the morning. That's awesome. So yeah, overall another great win. This, like I said in the beginning, this one just feels good because of the opponent, and you always like beating Vegas and doing it on their home ice.
Yep,
it's nothing sweeter. So. All right, that is going to wrap it up, everybody. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Go check out Locked On NHL. It's Thursday, so myself and Adam Denker from Locked On Lightning are hosting today's episode. Go check that out for your second listen. And we'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week. And maybe we'll get a trade happening. Couple days off. So get it done, Joe. Get it done. You got a couple days off. He's already on the East Coast.
Yeah.
We can meet him there. We'll pick him. We'll even divert the plane to go pick him up in Philly and then head up to Buffalo.
Or we could bring someone from Vegas.
That's not happening. That is wishful thinking, my friend. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow.